This is Tea with Tom, or Tea as my sister calls me. Hi, welcome to Tea with Tom. I have with me Missy and Sonia. They are the two owners of the Olive Avenue Market here in Redlands. And they're some of our favorite customers, and I hope you can catch some of their vibe, which is incredible. They're the definition of a neighborhood coffee shop, but there's a lot more to them than that. So you guys, welcome to Tea with Tom. I'm just happen to have a Summit Tea London Fog cooked up for me. Yes, I like them too. Well, listen, as our fans know, another business owned by woman entrepreneurs is some of our favorite things and some of our favorite people. As you might remember, Summit Tea was founded by my sister, Em. So we honor our women entrepreneurs all over the place. So welcome, and thanks for taking some time out of what's got to be a busy week.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, you bet. Well, listen, so how would you describe the Olive Market to somebody who's never been here?
It's just kind of like a local hangout. It's obviously a little bit different right now since our restrictions are
I
in
know,
place.
we're all wearing masks and yeah.
So the ambiance is a bit different, but it's still, the undercurrent is still the same. It's what it always been. So it's literally in the neighborhood. You don't get much more neighborhood than this.
Not much.
We're surrounded by homes, and I live right next door too. So it's just kind of morphed into what it has from what it was first intended, which was a local market.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went into a little decline there for a little while, where it was just like a liquor store. And it was kind of shady,
Like a little shady.
kind of shady, just a little bit, and then the previous owners bought it and did a lot of renovations, had a fire, renovated again,
Wow.
Stayed open for a few years, and then they had different interests, and then
Time to move on? Yeah, so it created opportunity.
kind of slid on it.
So, Missy, what year was that when you guys first embarked on the Olive Market?
I think it was 2007.
Yeah,
2007. Okay, so that's a while ago, but it's not exactly ancient history. Yeah, so let me ask you a little bit about that. So you had a third partner, right? Patty was your third partner. So you three gals get together and you go, we're going to start a coffee shop by renovating an old market. Is that the plan?
yeah. I mean, we didn't really think too deeply about it, quite frankly. I live around the corner that way, and I like this spot. It was always a nice spot. The previous owners did a really great job in renovating it, and it's like, hey, that's a nice place, and you feel comfortable here. And then it was up for sale for a little while, and kept driving by, and then I was
It's working on you.
Yeah, went and had a conversation, and it ended up talking to Missy and the other partner at the time, and it just kind of worked out.
Yeah, well, obviously. So when you guys thought about how you go about buying this place and doing the renovations that you wanted to do and so on, so why did you arrive at a partnership? Not everybody arrives at a partnership when they start a new business. You guys are you guys old friends from grade school, or?
Well, no, actually, it's kind of a weird setup. So our kids all did circus. Circus is a big town.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so that's how
Circus is the kids.
Great All-American Youth Circus at the YMCA.
Yes, that's right. So it has everything from rope dancing to gymnastics and T-board,
acrobatics, the juggling,
Yeah.
the whole 9 yards. Everything but animals.
everything but animals.
Everything but
And,
animals.
yeah, particularly the acrobatics, right? That would go into a circus.
Right.
Yeah. So your kids were doing circus, and that's where you knew
Yeah, we kind
each
of
other
met each
from.
other there, and then our kids kind of all. The extended family and circus is a different animal. It becomes truly an extended family. So like when my kids refer to something, it's like, well, circus family, of course, it's included. It's like a no-brainer. It's like not just your blood relatives, but it's also the circus family that's always part of that conversation when you speak of something. Like if we're gonna have a party
Yeah.
or if some event's coming up, it's like, well, who do you want there? It's like, well, the circus family, of course. So then you just kind of automatically know who that is, and that's the way it is.
That's right. I remember in the back by your office, there were some pictures on the
Yeah.
wall, maybe still there,
Yeah.
of kids doing handstands on tables and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, my oldest had a project at school and university, and so it had to be something ordinary, but out of the ordinary. So what she knew was circus, which was a little bit out of the ordinary. Nobody really grows up in that. And what she also knew was ordinary is, local market,
Yeah.
something familiar.
Yeah, wow. So that's great. So it was your kids that knew each other first, and then
Yeah,
as
kinda.
involved moms, you guys got on board with each other, and when you started thinking about something bigger, you invited your friends.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, who do I have, for me anyways, it was, I like this person. I think that would be a good match. Sure, let's give it a go. And then I talked to Missy and talked to the other person, and it was like, yeah, let's try that. And again, foolishly, we might not have even done it had we thought a little deeper and harder about it. I mean, that's an honest statement.
Isn't that true? Yeah,
But-
and then as you're doing it, you kind of think, well, what in the world did I do this for? And then other times, oh, this is glorious. I wouldn't do it any other way, and back and forth. Yeah, I know. I'm a small business person too.
You get that, you understand that.
I get that, and I do understand that. Yeah. Well, so Missy, here your friend comes to you with this notion of buying into this old market that's here and turning it into a neighborhood coffee shop. So, what was your motive? What got you fired up?
I don't think I had a motive. I just was like, okay, let's do it.
Okay.
It really was that.
too
It's very-
fast.
yeah.
There was no time to him and haw, and I
Yeah.
prefer to him and haw much more than most
Than
people
you-
because I like to think about it, and
Yeah.
there was no time. It was like, okay, let's just do it. And
So that
literally
was-
from the moment we did it, it was 1 month later that we got the keys.
Seriously?
It opened.
And opened.
Wow.
It was a very steep learning curve.
Not much room to him and haw.
No.
So, no, we got keys in May and opened in June.
Wow.
So,
That's like lightning quick.
yeah, we didn't kind of mess around. We figured, like,
Let's get after it.
lean into it.
So do you have husbands that are like contractors and carpenters and stuff like that?
No. Well, her
They can-
husband
they can
is,
fix
mine's
stuff.
not.
They can fix stuff. They can all fix
Yeah,
stuff.
he can fix
You can
stuff.
hold a screwdriver?
They can
Yeah, oh
fix
yeah,
stuff.
they're both good at different things.
Okay. Well, that's good. But no special skills, right? It seems to me like when you embark on a project, probably the first and foremost question, and the one that you guys answered, I think, was, are these the right people?
Yeah.
It's an old friend of mine put it this way. He said, I'll go just about anywhere and do just about anything with the right people.
Yeah.
The wrong people, I don't even want to be in the same room with.
Right.
Yeah. So you guys knew the right people, and that was the wisdom in beginning.
Yeah, it was. What the funny thing too is, we didn't really know each other that well,
Yeah.
to be perfectly honest.
Her and Amber were really, really good friends.
Okay.
That was kind of the third wheel, but it didn't really feel that way. They never made me feel that way.
Okay.
It just kind of worked out. It's like,
We
yeah.
all are different quality of people, meaning we still have, integrity and work ethic and all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we kind of fell naturally into our own space that still completed that circle.
Yeah. That's really important, is it? That's bringing the same values in, right? You have somebody in a partnership who doesn't have that same work ethic as the other two, it probably wouldn't work out as well.
Yeah. So I mean, Missy has skill sets that I don't possess, and I have skill sets that
Okay.
she's not as strong at. So
Oh,
it kind of works out. It worked itself out.
right.
'Cause we
So,
didn't-
so Missy, what's your piece of the pie? What are you particularly good at?
Tell me to do something and I'll do it.
Get it done, girl. That's right. Give me a
And
checklist.
I'm okay with that.
And you're okay with that?
I prefer to be behind the scenes. I prefer to.
Yeah.
I mean, I still will talk with people, but it's not my nature, and it's not
Sure.
it's not my ability either.
Good for you. You're the grease that gets the motor turning.
But they're all workers too, so don't.
Oh, yeah.
They're just as hard, and they're strong. They were always stronger than I was physically, but I would just get on the ground and push with my feet if I had to do something around. I just found a way.
That's what I call determination. So Sonia, what's your part of the pie? What do you do best here?
I kind of like the overall building and grounds, that kind of thing. So
Oh, yeah, okay.
I
Keep-
liked working with that.
That's why there's a dog dish out there
Exactly,
for
that
the
kind of
doggies.
stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm very particular, or very diligent and mindful about seating and what, if you have a big giant space that you're working with, but it's a vacuous space, and in order to make it feel a little bit more intimate, a little
Yeah.
bit more inviting, you need to break those things down. So we have seating areas that are all over the place.
Yeah.
But it's part of the bigger picture. But if you sit here, you can still be part of the bigger picture, but you don't have to be involved in everyone else's
Yeah.
conversation, or you can just sit there by yourself, read the paper, have a coffee, whatever.
Yeah.
But you still feel like you are a part of the
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. You're in something. Yeah.
Yes, and that was I'm very aware of whenever I
Okay,
do
and pretty
anything else.
intentional too about
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Everything that is.
So,
is
I mean,
intentional.
nobody can see this, but out front, on either side of your front door, and this is a corner lot, so facing the street, you have benches out
Church
there.
pews from
Yeah,
one of Missy's old churches.
church pews,
Yeah.
and a couple of well-positioned tables. And I'll bet I've never been here, and I've been here a lot. I used to live down the street and would walk my dog down here. And I don't think I've ever been here where there hasn't been somebody, maybe driving rain, there hasn't been somebody on those benches.
Yeah.
And then down the side street, it's a shady, older residential area, right? And so you've got some strategically bent wire chairs and tables and so on. But then in the back,
Yeah.
that's the real secret here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, the back patio.
So you have a big patio in the back. You even have a big sandbox for
We used
adults of all ages.
We used to have that. We took that out, and now it's just strictly seating, because it kind
Strictly.
of got a little out of control with. It was a little messy, and then it became.
Well, I guess
this-
if you cater to people with dogs, maybe it could be
Well, it was more the kids than the dogs,
more
quite
the
frankly.
kids. Oh no!
So
Well,
they'd get in there, and it was again. I'm mindful about everything. So with too much sand on the ground, it becomes a safety issue. I don't want people tripping and sliding and falling.
Yeah,
so
right.
we needed to mitigate all those kinds of things. So
mitigate, man. There's a businesswoman's term.
Well, yeah, so I don't want to get sued. So,
Well, there is some motive there, isn't there?
So you got within to make it still feel really warm and
Yeah.
comfortable and inviting, but to do it in a way it's a safe way to do it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the last time my wife Patty and I were here, which was last month, we grabbed a couple of sandwiches. They were ready-made, right? You're not making them here,
Yeah.
but they're made locally, I think.
No,
No,
we
we
make
make
everything
it.
here.
Oh, you make them here?
It's everything here. We
Oh,
just make them in
and
the
it's
morning.
self-serve, so
Yes,
it's not made
exactly.
to order per se.
No,
You just
just
know.
brunch on the weekends.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, we took our sandwiches and went in the back patio and in the shady spot. And even though it was a hot day, which it can be in Redlands, we had a
Yeah.
really nice time. Yeah, so we know the olive market well and have for a long time.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, you guys have been customers of ours for a long time too. And I want to say thank you. I mean, we really appreciate it. This is the kind of shop we want to be in. I mean, it's all about community and you have families, and it's anyway, just it's got a great vibe.
Well, we appreciate you
Yeah,
being
people
one of our
love your
vendors.
teas.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Blueberry
good.
is the best.
Blueberry's the best. Oh man. Well, I decided to go with the London Fog today, but surprisingly enough, I love the blueberry. I mean,
good.
it's one of my favorites too. Herbal tea. Yeah. Okay, so we've kind of given a little bit of the layout, patio in the back. Boy, with COVID, nobody has really thought so much about how outdoor space is really important for a business. It's like when you have indoor and you've got cozy chairs in the back and, a stand-up table for, people just grabbing a quick drink or something. you don't really notice it until something comes in forcefully and says, not in the building.
Right.
You know, so then what do you do about that? Well, you guys are,
We were already outfitted that way.
you're already outfitted that way.
So we came into it not having to panic maybe quite
Yeah.
so much, and it was fortunate for us that we have the space outside. We do have the front seating area and all the way on the side and
Yeah.
everything in the back. So
Would it be
we can
safe to say you
transition
could
easy.
seat 50 people outside?
Yeah,
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 Yeah, that would be about my guess.
yeah.
and distantly.
Yeah, and
that's-
appropriately, and the conversation distance too, yeah.
Yeah, so that's when we put, because we held back a couple tables because we didn't want it to be too crowded, and so there should be four tables up front. There's only 2, and 8 chairs instead of 4. That kind of
Yeah.
deal. So we are still mindful of that, but we also like you are outside, and there are as long as we make the attempt to make their distance, and I think we pulled that one off. So.
Yeah, oh yeah, right. Exactly. So, bravo. Is this tea here?
It's the tropical one.
Tropical black?
Yes, but we make it up. We have like.
Got your own special
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
I did that years ago.
Well,
This
you
is a
know,
tea.
that's what we really love, because we provide the teas and some ingredients and so on. But the way it becomes personal is when you do a little of your own magic behind the bar
Yeah.
and come up with some things that you really like. So, bravo. There we go. I like that. Okay, so we talk about vision. Like what vision can be kind of a hard thing to describe. But I think what I mean is that when you picture the olive market really firing on all cylinders, really working, what does it look like in your mind, or what does it feel like?
Let me think. I think, I don't know if you've ever been here on the weekend for brunch.
Have.
Okay, so brunch is before it was even more chaotic and out of control. Now it's more controlled because we have to limit people that are in here, and so people line up outside and take their orders out there.
Right.
But for a small shop, they put out over 100. I think on the average is 100, 150, that kind of range.
150
Breakfast
tickets,
Wow.
which have multiple items on it, between 9 o'clock and 12:45 on Saturday and Sunday.
Well, you've got
we're
a
not
crew that gets
necessarily-
it done.
Yeah, and so we're
Yeah.
not a restaurant, but on the weekends we turn into a quasi version
Yeah,
of one.
yeah.
And everything's to go, and everything it's all packaged to go. We can't
Right.
serve it like on plates and that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. We're not
it's
designed for
because
that.
you're not a restaurant. Yeah.
Right, but that, to pull that off and have, there's like, in the prior COVID days, you'd have 5 people behind the bar, and it was just a well-oiled machine that these guys could pull it off. And so
Yeah.
I just stay out of the way, because if I get involved, then I don't want to be micromanaging anyone, and they certainly don't need my opinion to tell them what to do. So if they need anything, we go get it. We're running out of ice or what it happens to be, but
Yeah.
they just handle it, and it's I love it it's great to see that they just pull it off, and then the
Yeah.
staff in the kitchen pull it off too. And then at the end of that, everyone's happy, and everyone's belly's full, and everyone really seems to enjoy their experience when they come for brunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, that was when you're hitting it on all cylinders. That would be that.
Well, that's an interesting description. I mean, what you decided to share there, because what you did is you talked mostly about your staff. Well-oiled machine, you staying out of the way and not micromanaging. But that assumes that you've trained people well, right? And you don't have to micromanage because they know their job and they know what to do.
And they trained themselves. Like, we would have to say that they really trained themselves.
Okay.
The kitchen staff in the back, they really work well together, and they've been together probably for close to 10 years.
I was going to say a long time. You
If
guys
not
have
more, but I don't
crazy
wanna- I'll
retention.
just say it that,
Yeah.
and then that makes a huge difference, because they know each other's moods. They know, oh, okay, let's just get, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
They know
yeah.
how to work together.
Yeah.
And so, and the front knows how to work together as well. Doesn't mean that we don't have mishaps around orders. It
Oh yeah,
happens.
it's not a perfect world.
But it is a well-oiled machine. And
Yeah.
I appreciate the work they do.
Well, you guys create an environment where they can do that. I mean, that just doesn't happen, right? Certainly not for long, not for 10 years. So when you think about your employees and how you go about, making this a good place for them to be. So do anything come to mind? Do you do anything, do you have intentional things that you try to do, or?
We used to do more until there's a lot of new laws that came in, and you have to be really careful. And we still do nice things. Don't get us wrong.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things like before, like, oh, just come over to the house and we'll all have dinner. And there's just things you have to now start to.
Okay.
Be
There's
mindful about.
boundaries now that we have an HR now, so there's things that now we have to
HR.
follow. Yeah. I mean, we had to. We
Yeah,
outgrew
you
just
do.
to, like, oh, okay. There's laws we have to follow,
Yeah.
and there's huge ramifications if we don't. So we had
Yeah.
to. It was hard. It
Yeah.
was really hard.
Well, we're
Yeah,
real
so
loose
it's kind of a
too.
give and take. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you want to honor the local and state authorities and the laws because there's most often really good reasons for them.
Yeah.
On the other hand, though, it curtails the
Yes.
relationships among staff that you've liked
Yeah.
in the past.
So that part is the tricky part. Is you're not as before we would have we would have just done things. And
Yeah.
now it's like you just have to be mindful about what it is and
Yeah.
how it's worded and everything else. Like, oh God, it's
Boy.
exhausting. But
Yeah.
I get the reasons for it, and you just kind of
Part of it is
adjust.
because we're in California.
Yeah.
Right, and California is not like the rest of the world.
There's definitely
Imagine
more
that.
regulations and rules
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything.
yeah. There's no lack of those, it seems.
Yeah. it's
But
for sure.
nonetheless, you guys seem to thread the needle and get it done. And it's still a nice place to work.
Yeah, well, I mean, we hope that everyone is happy, and there's certain things that we've done, like institute 401k program, and for
Really?
a small shop that we've been doing that for 5 years now,
At least
at least.
So is that for full-time employees?
It's for everyone.
everybody.
For everybody?
So whatever they'll put in whatever percentage, and we'll match the percentage that goes along with that percentage, and then they can do whatever. For us to do it, it's a lot of kids don't necessarily have the thought process of, I should save for retirement.
Yeah,
when
the
you're 20.
forethought, yeah.
And so this was an easy way for us to maybe institute something like that. So just give it a thought. You don't have to participate. That's fine.
Sure.
Nobody is forcing anybody to do anything. But if they want to, it's basically free money for them to do it.
Yeah.
That we're matching, and then it works.
Yeah, it works out.
It
Yeah.
works out. So we can't provide, vacation time and healthcare, because those are a little out of our range at
Yeah,
such a small
but you
shop.
can do something.
But we can do that, so we can be super flexible with their hours. 'Cause
Okay.
most of them are students. A lot of them are.
Flexible. Yeah, actually, behind the bar today, as I walked in, was Danae, who
Yeah.
works for Summit at Tuesdays and Thursdays when
Yeah.
she's not working here or being a student.
Yeah. And so we are super accommodating on that we can, everyone submits like the new fall schedule or spring schedule or whatever semester, their term, whatever they're on.
Yeah.
And then we can accommodate and rotate, and everyone realizes that if you're switching off these days because you have class now, somebody else is going to have to take that. So remember that next time around when they have
Yeah.
a class on those days,
Yeah.
and you guys kind of rotate.
Right.
So those things we can be really flexible with,
Yeah.
and across the board with everyone. And so with the same with the 401k, we can be across the board with everything.
Yeah.
And we
Well,
just-
do you mind if I ask you what percentage that is there a maximum?
It's 3%.
3%. And so you'll match their 3% with your own 3%.
Right.
And so they'll come away with 6% of their monthly
Right.
income.
Or whatever they choose to put.
Yeah.
And if they choose to go over and above, they're free to do that.
Right.
Our obligation is to match that
3%.
though.
Yeah, got that. Well, I think that's really generous, right? You don't have to do that. But on the other hand, that's got to be part of the work environment, because the thing that, well, I'm sure there's many reasons, but certainly one reason why there's high turnover in coffee shops is that you can have a a slow day that's at a crawl, or you can have a panicked heart attack on the run day, you know, but the pay is the same,
Yeah.
you know, and you work and you go home exhausted, and the pay is the same either way. So you're offering something more. I think that's really, really good. Bravo, ladies. Well, one of the things that I wouldn't expect when I walk in here is this giant cooler.
Yeah.
So you've got, you know, all kinds of interesting craft beers and bottles. You've got cans, you've got iced teas, you've got kombucha. You know, if it's a beverage, it's kind of on that side. And on this side, the beverages spill over. You got juices and all of that. But you've also got some salads. It looks like fruit salad, and you got sandwiches and all of that. So what was the decision about this big cooler?
It was here when we got it.
It was here.
It was here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, somebody was really thinking about
No,
this.
So the previous owners, they did you know, the majority of the bigger renovations,
Yeah,
and then when we bought it, we put our own personal spin on what makes us comfortable. And
yeah,
the beauty about it's just us. So if we want to change something, we just have a conversation. Hey, you want to do this? Yeah, let's do that, and we do it that way.
yeah,
So we can change and kind of be quick to accommodate something.
yeah,
else.
yeah,
So we can, if a customer says, "Hey, can you get me this? I used to have it when I was a kid. You know, I can't find it anywhere." We have so many different vendors. We could probably try.
to probably find it, yeah.
And so then.
Yep, I really am
Just give it a
hungry,
try.
yeah, thirsty for a knee-high,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Can you give me a grape one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very true.
And we carry it. So if it's good, it's like, well, let's just keep carrying that.
yeah. Well, the cool thing about this, it's got glass doors on 3 sides, right?
Yeah. Oh no, 2 sides.
2 sides, and the door is in the back, okay.
The door's-
But it gives you a lot of cold storage back
Yeah.
there. And I'm looking, and it looks like you really use it. I see some bulk eggs and things like that waiting for the next Saturday and Sunday
Exactly.
brunch. Yeah.
So all the deliveries are here for tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's really nice. You get kind of double duty. Oftentimes there's a cooler in the back, but that doesn't really serve a purpose as a point of sale for you. But this one really does.
Right.
Plus,
And
you
we
got
use
more
the-
than enough vibe here with the wood everywhere, floors, stamped tin ceiling.
Copper paint on it. So that was some work. That was a lot of work.
I'll bet.
Painting each grid, each individual tile.
It's like Michelangelo. You're on your back there
yeah,
painting. Yeah,
It took a lot of
a
hours.
lot of effort.
But it
Yeah,
looks better. It looks warmer, and that's what needed to be in here.
Yeah.
Not just those nasty,
Yeah,
white
very- yeah,
acoustic.
yeah, sterile.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the cool thing about having your own shop or your own place. You can look around and everything has a story.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when we did this, when we got the chairs, when we painted
Yard
the
sales.
ceiling, and yeah, there we go. Very
Seriously.
good. Yeah,
The
well, I
real
mean, you don't
mismatch.
have to. I mean, you have to be conscious about how you spend your money,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So whenever, well, you're not really having yard sales right now, but I have a whole extra surplus on my front porch. When anything goes down, just grab one from there, bring it over.
Great. Well, so I mean, are you guys all business majors, and you kind of learned about business in those ways, or what was the journey for you?
I went to school for business, but
You did,
that
okay.
was so many years ago. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Missy, you were art student.
Yeah.
Oh, art student. Ah. No wonder there's such a nice vibe in here.
No.
Well, I don't
Really,
know.
honestly, I'm not gonna lie. The decor is really fun. It shows really good vision. And
Okay.
that mine's not necessarily. That's not where my.
Well, you're part of the decision, though, right? Where you sit down and go, well, let's get our antique beer can collection, you know, up on the top of the shelf, and
Well, that was one of our
She really
customers
has good
mentioned was over
design,
here.
and I'm okay with that. I
Yeah.
can trust it. It doesn't matter to me. I don't have to.
you don't have to control
No,
it.
I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Okay, so what were you doing between art major and business major in 2007? You know, you're having a family and all that sort of a thing, but were you doing anything business-wise or kind of that related to what this would ultimately become?
Well, I mean, Missy had plenty of businesses,
I have like little side businesses.
all kinds of different
Little
stuff.
side businesses.
Yeah, I mean, like, I had a drapery business. And
A drapery business?
Store in my younger years.
Oh.
And then I sew a lot, so I had a lot of that. And then I did baskets, like during, if you think about previous to 2007, we had a housing boom with tons of new brand new
Yes,
houses.
right.
So for realtors, I had like 7 realtors and escrow people that would say, I need a basket for this family. And they would tell me what their, so then I
So
would
it's kind of like a bottle of wine and some cheese and.
yeah, or you know what, a set of dishes, something knickknacks.
Oh,
to
oh,
make it
yeah,
look cute.
yeah, okay. Something more even
But
more
that's
practical.
it. It didn't prepare me for this. Nothing would have prepared us for this.
Yeah. this-
Nothing would have prepared you for this.
It's different. I mean, again, yeah, going to school for business and you understand the basics and that kind of thing, but the actual running of it, you know, the majority of our effort is put into personnel and staffing. You know how this works, especially right now, because if anybody's been exposed to the virus, we need to make sure they're tested, and then don't want them working, and then we have to fill that void when that happens or you know
Yeah.
comes up. So it's just you don't really go to school for that kind of stuff. You just kind of make it up as you go.
Yeah,
And as far as prior to that, it's a hands-on kind of thing. I mean,
it's really true. And every
fundamentals
business
are-
is a little bit different, right? So, I mean, you have to have a cycle of when you order sandwiches, when your drinks vendor comes in. I mean, you have to develop that, and you have to anticipate when you're going to be spending more money and at times less money and needing, you know, and where your income is coming from
Right.
and all of that. So, I mean, it's nice. I mean, somebody comes into a coffee shop and they buy a coffee or a tea, and that's all good. But they go out the door and maybe they spent $3.50 or $4. But if they can come in, the same customer, and they can buy a sandwich and a juice, then all of a sudden that ticket is $12
Right.
instead of $4. And you know, I typically, you know, coffee is where businesses make money because the margin is really good. Tea is the champion. But it's to say that same customer will probably, particularly if it's an inviting place where you want to come in and spend a little bit of time or take it outside, people are gonna pick up something else, and that makes good business sense.
Yeah, so we are kind of a lot more than just, so we sell tea and coffee, but we also do the sandwiches and sides and salads. We also bake, so 4 nights a day.
Oh, really?
We have in-house bakers that go back. Today they're not on, because they baked everything yesterday. On the weekends we turn it into brunch. And so we're a lot of
Oh,
different
I see.
things.
So the bakers are doing Monday through Friday.
Yep.
The brunch crowd Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday, and
Okay.
then we have a sandwich crew that comes in really early, and like at night, or early morning hours, and then cooks that come in and finish up that, and then we do the prep for the following day.
Wow.
So there's a lot of overlap. So we have like about 17 now.
Employees?
It's 18 employees. At the height, we were 24 employees.
Wow.
It's a lot for a small shop.
Well,
that's
it'd be,
in a
yeah,
neighborhood
I mean,
corner.
it would be hard to find them all a place to stand. I mean,
yeah.
so, the place isn't that big. So that takes a lot of coordination.
It does, and so we have a great manager that she does the scheduling, and it's like a Jenga when you try
Oh,
to put
yeah.
that thing together, because there's so many moving parts, and if they are students, then they request some times
Yeah,
off.
they have to be
people wanna go
flexible,
on vacation,
yeah.
People call in sick, and so you just need to have the right person that's doing that job that can fill those voids too, because Andrew will be the person that if somebody calls in sick last minute, she'll come and fill that shift.
Yeah,
And so it's not Missy and I having to come necessarily do those things, because I don't know how to make a latte on that machine anymore. And to get me behind the register, you don't want me behind the register, because I don't.
you
when
don't
we
do
first
that every
started
day,
out,
yeah.
We did everything ourselves, but then as we grew, we realized like if we want to grow and do something, put our own spin on it, we can't be the
You guys have to
persons-
get out of the day-to-day stuff,
we can't
yeah.
do that kind of stuff. We need to be able to free ourselves to do other things.
Yeah.
So we have other people.
And there's a lot of wisdom in that. an old friend of mine. He was a restaurateur in Phoenix, and he owned 3 different chains: a burger place, a burrito place, and a breakfast place. And he was famous for retaining employees. He was an institution in himself. But anyway, that's one of the things that he would say, is just what you said. So I've heard that before from really successful people. Okay, well, let's move on.
Okay.
All right. So we've talked about your vibe and your location and your vision. We talked about your startup. We talked about how your employees fit in, which is really great insight, I think. You know, community is the big thing
Yeah.
with the olive market.
Yeah.
And community can be a hard thing to develop. So let's say that community was maybe, if not the number 1 thing, but certainly in the top 3. And you had a young woman across the table, and she is dreaming about her own coffee shop someday. So if you were to tell her what to do or what not to do as far as community goes, what would you say?
Is like trying to start something in this particular community?
No.
Or just in general?
In general.
How to do it. What we've done kind of is been more organic. So we don't advertise. We
Okay.
don't, because we get solicited for companies to come, and we can get you that many hits on your Instagram or your Facebook or whatever. It's like, oh, that for us it seems false and fake and disingenuous. So we won't do any of that kind of stuff.
Wow. So there's some emotion behind that, Sonia.
Very strong opinions on this.
Well, I want to
Because
hear
it's not-
them. Yeah.
Because it's not valid. It's not a true reflection
They're
of
not
what.
trying to pump up your
No. and
stats and followers.
If we're doing it right, it will grow naturally. And if we're not, then I don't want to falsely put forth a face of the market as something that it's not. So if people are feeling that they want to come here, it's because they want to.
Yeah.
Not like they were almost conned into
Herded
doing it
or
because
conned. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that. And so.
Don't beat
it's
around the bush now. If you
I
don't,
know.
if you don't like it, just say so.
Very strong opinion
Yeah.
there.
No, I love it.
But
Yeah. So
But-
genuineness,
yeah, and
as it
then-
relates to your customers,
Yeah.
is like really important.
Yes, absolutely. And for us, we are part of the community. So for us to say, hey, if you want to do something in any community, you need to be part of that community in order to be projecting that as
Yeah.
what you are.
Well,
going
it helps
to
that
do.
you live
Yeah.
in close proximity.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah, my kids went to school across the street. I used to always see the teachers, and they would come over, and
Yeah.
our kids all grew up together, and they're still really
Yeah.
good friends, and I see
Yeah.
them all the time. And it's those kinds of things that I love about the shop. And what one of the things that touch me most is when families meet here and they become friends, and their kids grow up together, and it's because they would come here after school, and they get their treat was to get an
Yeah.
ice cream.
Well, it's how you guys started your shop.
Yeah,
right?
and it's to see those relationships blossom, and so that's what I get all excited about. That's I'm very deliberate about, toys in the back and not overdo it for the kids, but
Yeah.
all those different things. So those are the memories that those kids are gonna grow up with. Like, oh yeah, I remember when we used to hang out at the Olive Market. We play in the back, and that's we became friends, and then all these different things would happen.
Yeah, you could take your dog.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
not in the building, but
Yeah.
plenty of dog stuff outside.
Only what was it? Seeing eye dogs or service dogs.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, very cool. So you would say that to genuinely be part of the community is essential. So I think sometimes culturally people want to pole vault. They want to kind of go from where they're at and pole vault to somewhere else,
Yeah.
kind of accomplish what they want and pole vault back.
Yeah.
That they're really not vested in what they're
No,
doing.
Yeah, so you need to be part of it. I mean, that's the whole point. If you want to be a local shop, you kind of need to be a local person.
Yeah.
And we've had opportunities to, go other places and like have other locations. We
Okay.
could never recreate what we have here is because we don't live in these other areas. It would be, another version of something, but it would be not authentic to us because we
Yeah.
don't live there. We don't
Yeah.
have a connection there. We didn't grow up there. That's not our community. This is our community.
Yeah, and you guys wouldn't believe in it
No.
passionately like you
No.
do this place.
Yeah.
And that you would never have to say that, but people could read that a mile away.
Yeah.
We buy in the community.
I know.
We eat out all the time, or not. I do. She does do it, not right now. But I mean, like when I go downtown a lot, or not even just downtown, but you know, both sides of Redlands, we definitely, our money is personal money is
Yeah.
spent all over
Yeah.
this town. We don't.
Yeah.
You know, we believe in other small businesses, and we think it's important.
Yeah, it is kind of part of the vibe here in Redlands. When we first moved here, we were really pretty warmly embraced by other businesses, and people invited us in based on the fact that we were local, you know, and didn't even know us. And it meant a lot to us, and it wasn't hard then to turn around and reciprocate. Yeah, we do the same things. Very good. Okay, so again, we've got this young woman across the table, and she's dreaming about her own business, her own coffee shop. So taking a step back, we would say community, authentic community, is really important. In fact, you didn't quite pound the table with your fist, but you almost could have, I think, on that one. So what's a couple other things that you'd say are just essential?
It will take a lot more of your time and energies than what you thought it would. I mean, it just does.
Idea of buying a little business and putting a manager in charge, and
Yeah, it
then
doesn't work like
you
that.
kind of go and sit on the beach somewhere.
Yeah, you need to, you know, when we first started, we opened up, we made the sandwiches, we did the coffees, we counted out at night, we cleaned up everything.
Yeah.
We did it all. And we can't expect somebody else or know what that is like unless we have done it ourselves.
Yeah.
And as we've expanded and grown and become something a little bit different,
Yeah.
we can, we know, it's like it shouldn't take 20 minutes to do this task. And nothing here is that hard. It's just a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So if it's taking you this, like, did we not train you right, or what are we missing? There's something wrong? So we have just a plethora of checklists. So we make sure that everyone is on the same page. If this person is new, this is how we close down the shop. And it's not going to be different for you because this is the same thing we do every day. So you just need to follow those instructions. And again, nothing here is that hard. It's just methodically going through all the things so you don't miss anything.
So a plethora of checklists and methodically going through things. So tell me more about that.
When you just make up as you go, so like the closing checklist is, so we had to adjust it for.
I mean, is this actually on a sheet of paper?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you fill it out? Do they fill it out every
You're
time?
supposed to check it off with the
Every time.
initials and every day, so we know it's getting done.
Oh.
So if we don't want to assume that it's getting done, because when you assume, bad things happen. So we need to, like, if something the next day is not done, it's like, who do we need to go back and talk about that?
Yeah. So what happened
So everyone
yesterday?
needs to be
Yeah.
accountable. Same with the sandwiches in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Everyone that produces something, there's an initial by it.
Yeah.
So if there's the sandwiches didn't come out well, or something's wrong, whatever it
Yeah.
happens to be, we can go back to that person and say, dude, what happened here? This wasn't okay. Let's fix that, so we know who to
So
talk
the fact is that you have business systems,
Yeah.
and you don't leave things to chance, and people are responsible to check things off, and you do hold them accountable. So accountability can be a really good thing because it helps people know how to be successful. So if I'm accomplishing this, this, and this, and I check it off, then that means that I've been successful in that job. So I think people sometimes will hesitate holding people accountable for fear that they might fail or whatever that might be. And the reality is that it's the opposite.
Yeah.
You're teaching people how to be successful in their job.
And not just this job, you're not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
But if you get a good work ethic and good habits, you'll take that to the next place you
No
go.
kidding.
And so much the better, and you're going to be better prepared. And same with like what we did 401ks and those kinds of things. Like if you don't know and have never been taught, if this is your first exposure to that, then you hopefully will learn something and then take it someplace else.
Yeah.
And
No,
not to say that things don't fall through the cracks.
Yeah, and they do all the
Yeah.
time.
Well,
but-
yeah,
We
yeah,
have-
yeah. I
we
mean, you
have-
can't have
we
a
will
system
have
that is
times,
so
yeah.
regimented that it takes 8 hours a day just to maintain the system.
Yeah, we'll have times that, like, something's not going well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have
But
to
it gives you a
reevaluate.
basis to go back and evaluate it, right? Well, so, you know, maybe the salads do need to stay in the cooler and
Yeah.
not sit out on the counter or whatever that
Yeah.
is, you know.
And it's, the other thing is when we think that, oh yeah, we got it wired now, that lasts for like
Changes.
10 minutes.
It changes,
Ever
yeah.
changes.
And then you have to be involved, you have to.
Yeah, everything
to be
changes,
fluid
yeah.
With everything.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I would say another thing to say to the young woman across the table is that she needs to be really intentional about her business systems.
Yeah,
How things are done, how things are opened, how they're closed, how things are cleaned, how drinks are made, how the cash register works, and all those things. I think that's really, really good. Not everybody has that organizational or managerial mind for that, but that's, I think, one of the strengths of your partnership, right? You both don't have to be expert at everything.
yeah. Missy's much better at the computer because she'll input and that kind of stuff. Not my
Go,
strong suit.
Missy.
Yeah, much better at those kinds of things.
Yeah, but I'm getting old, my eyes hurt.
I know.
No, but it is true. Like, I would say too, like, if somebody was asking me, I wouldn't say, you know, sometimes you say, oh God, I would never do it again. No, that's not true. I think in life, it's all about jumping no matter what, but
It's all about
jumping, you know, jump into the opportunity. you know?
jumping.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then I would say, but know that you're going to make a lot of sacrifices.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
our kids hadn't been as flexible as they were,
Yeah.
at the beginning we would bring, my son was the youngest out of all of the kids at the time. And
How old was he?
I'm going to say he was 9, 8,
Yeah.
9, something
9,
like
okay.
that. And so he would come and sleep underneath the desk because we'd get her early.
He would sleep under the desk.
Yeah,
Get a little cubby.
because you know, so and then we would bring him cereal or whatever we had here.
Yeah.
And I would take him to school, and you know, there is a lot that we sacrificed for, and she sacrificed for her children as well, and so did Amber. Amber sacrificed.
Okay.
So I would say make sure you know that it's okay to sacrifice, but make sure that you can figure it out. And the kids will always come back and say, remember when you didn't take me? And you just gotta live with it.
Regrets
and,
his parents,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like, remember you had free sandwiches,
Yeah,
so leave me
yeah,
alone.
yeah. But I agree. And you have to, for me, I mean, it might be different for this individual, but I would say that, yeah, I think of businesses, you marry it. It really, I'm telling you, there was so
It's
many
that pervasive,
hours,
yeah.
and we didn't go anywhere for the first 7 years, literally. And you know, it was just like, okay. But I mean, it was okay. We knew what we were doing. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a sacrifice you gave.
Yeah.
But my husband was able to take kids places. And
Sure,
stuff.
sure,
You
yeah.
you make a lot of sacrifices, and is it worth it? Yeah, I'm not going to say it wasn't worth it.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting. So here I'm doing an interview with the owners of the Meek House, which is over by the cinema, Elizabeth and her sister. And their mom was a businesswoman, still is. But really the way that they came about the notion of how this could be something we could do is that's just the way they grew up.
Right.
And so it cast a vision in a really good way and in a way that I don't know if you could do it another way, really.
Right. So, having said with their kids and stuff, they all worked here for free. Because
There we go. No 401k for you, sweetie.
no, because the rule was you know, it's a family business. And
Yeah, we're
everyone
all
pitches
in it, not just mom.
So
Yeah.
all the kids took their turn and working, and they were on the schedule, and they didn't get paid other than what we would, you know, pay them
Their
in
kids
food.
as friends, we would use and abuse.
Yeah, we just,
Maybe I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, edit that
No,
part
no,
out.
I get, yeah, we mean that in the best way.
In a
Yeah,
great way.
in a great way.
But it also taught them, you know, it's like, okay, well, if you really want something, there's a sacrifice to it, or and not necessarily not like necessarily using the word sacrifice, but there's a
Well,
responsibility.
yeah, sacrifice is only part of the story. It's really
Right.
being all in.
Yeah.
It means being committed, and not just
Yes.
not just you, but your kids and
Yeah.
your husband, the guy who holds the screwdriver. You know,
Those things.
yeah, it's not a compartmentalizable thing,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're all proud of it. I mean,
and they're all proud
they're all
of it.
proud of it.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
You'll hear them talk about it around town. Not always in the most. Sometimes it's like remember when? Yeah, okay. But it's okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the truth.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
were hard times for them, and
Yeah.
it's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm not
But
gonna lie.
they learned a lot.
They learned a lot.
And I'm a big, I mean, adversity's not a bad thing. You can learn a lot from that. You learn more from.
It's really
from
true.
Not something working out. because
Adversity
it's
is not a bad
It is
thing.
not.
You know, I think we
It's,
can quote you on that one.
But
Yeah.
it makes, they all have a work ethic, yours too, like,
Yeah.
because stuff just needed to get done. There was not anybody else to do it, so you just get it done. And if you don't know how to do it, you figure it out.
Yeah.
You Google it, and just trial and error, whatever it happens to be, you
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of there's always a workaround. So if this isn't working, it is not happening, well,
There's
okay,
another way.
There's another way. There's always a workaround.
Yeah.
So you just have to be a little bit more tenacious and creative in how you get it done.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that I appreciate about my kids because there's always a workaround. There's a creative way to get things
That's
done.
just been
They figure it out.
That's just been part of their DNA
They
growing
figure
up.
it out.
Yeah. So those are really important things when you think about raising a family and what you're raising your kids to do, or to maybe not to do, but what to be. I mean, you're kind of teaching them a lot about life and doing those things. I think that's just really wise. So I would think they will largely bless those times.
Yeah, I'm sure that sometimes that they would it wasn't their favorite time, but by and large, yeah, I think they really appreciated being here, and it's something. That's why I always liked the circus, is because once my kids all played soccer, and so once they got better than anything I can teach them, and that didn't take long for them to do that. They were trained and did something with somebody else. I mean, I would go and take practice and that kind of stuff, but it wasn't something I could participate with them. Circus is a different animal because everyone's can participate, and as the kids got more and more involved, so did I, and so did Missy when the kids were in circus
Yeah.
heavily. I mean, we'd spend an inordinate amount of time down there. School's out, you used to have a couple of hours of break, not even maybe a couple hours, an hour and a half. You go to the Y, and you're there from like 4 till like 9 o'clock at night.
Wow.
4 nights a week.
Wow.
And so that was, and I have 3
That
kids.
kind of
so,
trumps Little League.
Yeah, and so and they all played soccer too. So in between, they're going to soccer practice, and then on the weekends they're going to games. And so they learn time management. That was another thing you kind of learn. You said you need to manage your time wisely and figure that stuff out. So, but that, again, back to circus, it's something you participate with them. That's why it was such a community, because it wasn't just you taking them to a lesson and then peacing
Dropping
out.
them off and then picking them up
Yeah,
later.
it's like, no,
Yeah.
you're in part of the class with them, and you
Yeah.
participate, and then you
Yeah.
volunteer, because that's the example you should be setting.
Yeah.
It's like somebody else put forth the effort for you, and then you do the same for somebody else. And so that's why I love circus so much, because it was, and overall, I liked that they really kind of, the logo of the Y, the strong mind, body, and spirit, that was what circus was for me meant. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if we could kind of duplicate how we would run things here, that's some of the things that
Oh,
was
okay,
important
I
to me.
never made that connection, but you would say there is a connection between kind of the community life that you had with circus and your place here.
Yeah. I mean, half the staff when we first started, they're all circus kids.
They were all circus kids,
and it
yeah.
killed us in showtime because nobody could work.
Good work.
So we were like, oh God, how are we gonna do this? We got to close early.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
Gosh, you'd have a lot of really in shape kids, right?
Yeah, they were great kids. So you know the families. It's just a different animal. So that's what was when we were
Yeah.
referring to earlier. Hard to distance yourself from an employee and like
Yeah.
owner situation, because we know them so well. It's hard to, now that you hiring in, because our kids are all aged out.
Yeah.
You hire people from the outside, not just family that you know.
Family and friends, yeah.
And so you can't have that same level of relationship because it's changed. And so, again, everything's evolves and becomes different, but now we're just being more mindful of all
Yeah,
those things.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Well, that's really insightful. Okay, so there's a reason why you've retained employees. And you've done it in some really creative ways. Some not canned ways, but more like family type ways.
Yeah, and along with that, there's the dysfunction of a family that goes along with it.
I know. I mean, the most discouraging thing in the world is to see your own dysfunction come out in your business.
Your mom, for some
Oh,
reason.
She wants beer. I'm teasing.
Just get what you want.
What do you want?
Sorry, that's my mom and my sister.
Oh, demon.
You can't see it, but there's a lovely white-haired lady in the back, and Sonia ran around and said, "Just get her a beer."
Whatever I want.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Okay, well, let's see. So, again, I'm thinking about the person who's listening to you two ladies and thinking, okay, well, 2007 minus 2020, that's 13 years.
14.
You know, 14.
Going on 14?
Yep, I stand corrected. So anyway, they're thinking, well, how do I, that's a long ways into the future for me when I'm thinking about next steps and how to make that work. So do you have anything further to say? Maybe some things to not do. You talked a lot about things that you would do. Like if you had known in advance certain things about business or about work or about community or whatever, what would you do to save somebody some pain?
I don't know, I guess just be aware of these things that they're going to happen. So if you think that you got it all kind of figured out, you don't. That's just not going to work out. I mean, be as prepared as you can. And it's helpful to have the lists of different things.
No kidding.
But knowing that those things are going to fall through the cracks, and you constantly have to revisit the same things. You know, whenever we have a team meeting, it's like we could have taken the script from the first one we had and duplicate it, and then it'd be the same basically, and
Yeah.
expanded on certain things now.
Yeah.
But it's the same
People are somewhat predictable, aren't they?
stuff. Well, it's the same things that you just have to make sure you close the windows, make sure you're doing all these different checklists.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
And
Some
again,
people are just instinctively better about
Yeah.
those details
They
than
are.
other people. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, but again, you can't necessarily
Take
focus
that all
in on
for-
just one person. You have
Yeah.
to. It's got to be the same for everybody.
Yeah, particularly as what one person does affects what other people are
Yes,
doing.
very
That's
much.
where people get a bigger sense that it's just a job.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to take a lot of your time and energy, more than what you probably thought or anticipated.
Yeah.
But there's also, I always like a challenge, and so this has definitely been a challenge. But there's a lot of things that happened along the way that I didn't anticipate. I mean, and I can't just pull them out of the air and tell you what they are, but you just have to be really flexible.
Unexpected, the unexpected.
Yeah.
Expect the
And-
unexpected,
and
yeah.
be flexible and creative in how you problem
You know, it's really
solve.
true. I think where people get sideways is that they have certain presuppositions that it's going to be this way, or this is what it's going to look like or feel like. And the reality is that you don't know that. You
No.
can't know that, really, until you're in the middle of it. And then if you're expecting things to break through and then everything is fine after that, it's probably not going to happen either. So you have to kind of set your expectations aside and I think kind of live daily, weekly, monthly, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we used to sit, and we haven't done it this year because I think we've just been so distracted with everything else. Would like have our yearly meeting, so to speak, and write down our goals. So what do we want, like the next
You have a
6
yearly
months?
meeting and you write down your goals?
Well, sometimes we used to all the time where we would. Missy was a better journaler and writer than I am, and so she would kind of have things that would in her head, and then we would sit down and say, well, what do you think this coming year was going to look like, or what do we want to do this coming year?
There we go.
And then we would, and I'm a planner. I just don't write stuff down like that. I do those things in my head like a chess game always. So I'm like, well, this is, for me, it's more of the building itself. It's like, I'd like to do this, and we need awnings, and I'd like to plant this tree, or we'd like to fill in the blank on all those different things.
Yeah.
And then we can like, well, does it make sense to put forth the effort and the money to do those things? You know, a lot of it's just a lot of legwork. It's like, oh, I can do that. It's no big deal. And so those things are what makes us, what can we do to be growing and always be evolving
Yeah.
into being a better, like, corner shop. I mean, better
Yeah.
for our neighborhood, better for how we interact with each other, and better for our employees.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of things that we don't do well, and that we
Oh, I
could
know, there's no
always be
end
learning.
to doing better.
Yeah. So there's always things like, well, okay, well, let's focus on these things because we
Yeah.
prioritize them as being something that we need to look at more.
Yeah. No, I think that's smart. So there's a lot of intentionality behind the fact that you guys have a successful corner coffee shop / market here on Olive
Whatever.
Avenue in Redlands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, have we missed something really important that people need to know about the Olive Market or about
Missy
you
has all
guys?
these hidden talents that she won't tell anybody because she's afraid that they'll ask her about and then do them.
Then you'll be
So-
on the spot,
They
right?
should be obligated to say yes because she doesn't want to tell anybody no.
Okay.
So I'm learning about those things, like, as we go. It's like, I had no idea you could do all these different
Really,
things.
after working together for 13
Yeah.
years, there's still
Oh, absolutely.
dimensions
It's just like, oh yeah, I did this. Like, what do you mean you did that? It's like, yeah, I used to do this, back in the day. It's like, oh my God. You could have been doing this here all this time? Why didn't you say anything?
It does sound like a marriage, doesn't it? I learn something about your spouse all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I think the good thing is that we've remained friends. And,
yeah, you've
we
remained
enjoy
friends.
each
Yeah,
other, and there's really, when I think of going somewhere, I really don't. It's like, oh wait, of course Sonia's going with me, or she's going to go somewhere. Oh hell yes, I'm going with her.
It's like, I didn't think I asked, but I guess we're all going. All right, let's go.
But you know what I mean.
yeah,
And
I do
that's-
know what
that's
you
the
mean.
good
Yeah,
news of-
yeah,
And you can't get offended. It really comes to, everything comes down to, it's a business decision. Don't let it affect your emotions.
Mhm.
Your emotions they're
That's
just
a really
a
good
part.
word, Sonia. We could quote you on that one.
Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
hard sometimes
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
you just gotta let it go.
Business decision. Don't
Yeah.
let it affect your relationship.
I mean,
those
with,
ones are hard.
with our employees, with the
Yeah,
vendors.
yeah. Because there's different ways to do things,
Yeah.
right? And
And there's sometimes they're better, but it
Yeah.
will affect somebody adversely
Yeah.
that you have a relationship, and so you
The
do.
vendor might get offended.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not carrying this
yeah,
anymore.
well, there are
Oh.
things more important
Yeah.
than expedience, right? Than everything being the shortest possible line between point A and point B. Sometimes there's important things to consider, like the relationship between you guys. I love that. Okay. Well, thank you guys. This has
Yeah.
been a really insightful interview. I've been coming in here for years and never really had a chance or opportunity to sit down and really hear what you guys are about and what you're doing here. I've experienced the fruit of it, but not so much the people behind it. So I really appreciate it. Thank you again for, being such good customers of ours. And
Thank
we are grateful.
Thank you very much.